Hi, Shelly. I am doing my reflection video over task 9, and I will be submitting it to task 9D. This is an explanation of the proficiency skills that I'm using, or that I use and I'm using for the essential skills that we are doing for first grade. So I'll be going over each one of those. The first one I'm going to do is TEK 1.2 BVI, and it is the student is expected to demonstrate and apply phonetic knowledge by identifying and reading at least 100 high frequency words from a research-based list. To me, this is very important. Mastery of the high frequency words is very important for students because it will help them become better readers and to read independently, especially the words that don't follow a rule, the ones that I call heart words that they will just have to memorize or know because they don't follow a rule and you can't sound them out. I based my proficiency scales off the whole year and broke it down into 4 parts. The above grade level one is where they can receive a 4, and they can read 100 to 101 to 128 high frequency words from a first grade and second grade list. And in order to be proficient, which is a 3 for first grade, they can read anywhere from 70 to 100 high frequency words based on the actual first grade list that we have for this year. The reason why it's 70 to 100 is because 70 is considered passing, and all the way to 100. And then the next one, the number 2, is they can read anywhere from 50 to 69 high frequency words from the first grade list. So that's where it's like they're kind of in the middle, like they still need support. And then the 1 is really the little struggling babies that just really need a lot of help, and they can only read 0 to 49 high frequency words from a first grade list. So that's how I broke down that one. And then the next one is, excuse me, 1.2 BI, and it's decoding words in isolation and in context by applying common letter sounds correspondence. I focus in on the VCE words, so basically the silent E words, because I feel like that's important for kids to realize that that E is silent and it's making the vowel say its own name in most words. So the proficiency scale for that, I broke it down into 4 parts as well. Decoding words is critical for students to master in first grade because it carries throughout their life, and it will help them become fluent as well as independent readers as well, just like the high frequency words. So it's very important to know this, to master the skill and to know the skill. I based it off of I tested them before we taught it on the VCE words, a list of ones, and then I retested them after we taught it. And the 4, which is like above grade level, they have to be able to read not only the silent E words, but also multisyllabic. So it's like compound words, but it does also have a long vowel word in there as well at the end of it. And so then that's the above grade level. The proficient, where they will be on grade level, is a 3. And so they're able to decode, blend, and read like 1-syllable words. So the CVCE words such as robe. And then I have the 2 where they need some assistance, maybe need some extra support so they can decode the sounds. Maybe they can tell you the sounds of the 1-syllable word, but they struggle to blend and read it all together, which I do have some students who struggle with that. Like they can tell me their sounds, but then they go to blend it and it's just, they can't get it correctly, or it's just a completely different word. And then 1 is where they know a few sounds, but they're unable to blend and read their phonemes together. And they need assistance decoding the 1-syllable words, or also maybe they don't recognize still that the E is at the end of the word and it needs to make the vowel say its long vowel sound. The next one is 1.7D. The student is expected to retell text in ways that maintain meaning. Retelling is a critical skill that students need to help them recall important information from BME, which is short for beginning, middle, end. And this is something that we have really been focusing on this year because they really need to learn how to speak in full sentences. I feel like that's a problem these days, and get their thoughts out the best way that they can. So the proficiency scale is used by, I broke it down in each quarter because we're doing it each quarter to see how they grow. And we started out a little bit at a time. So for students that are above grade level, they will, they must be able to retell and paraphrase the text they have read. To me, that would include also not just paraphrasing, but making sure they will put important, if it's a fiction book, for example, like the story elements, like without me having to ask, they can tell me the characters, the setting, the problem, and the resolution, because it is a very hard task for them to grasp. So that would definitely be grade level or above grade level, in my opinion. So to be proficient, which is on grade level, they have to be able to retell, excuse me, students must be able to retell grade level text using important details from the beginning, middle, and end of the story. So they're doing important details, but maybe they're not paraphrasing or they're not going into depth as they would for above grade level. Then several students struggle when it comes to retelling the beginning, middle, of end of the grade level text and may leave important details out. So therefore, some students can retell the beginning and the middle, or of the text, but then they, some students can only retell the beginning. So the second one is like the needs support. This is where they can retell grade level text of the beginning and the middle. And then the last one would be they can only just tell me the beginning. They can't tell me anything that happens past that. Then the next TEK that I have is 1.11DI. The student is expected to write a complete sentence with subject and verb agreement. So I have a note in there. We need to spend more time on this beginning of the year, which we just found out like this isn't actually a TEK, I'm assuming. I don't know. I have no idea how it's not, but because they have to learn how to write a sentence before they can do anything else. So I make my students do this every week on the back of their spelling test. Even if I'm dictating them the sentence, they know they have to, I'm focusing on capitalization, spacing, and punctuation. And then I also try to make them try to do their own. So this one is a student that is above grade level can write a paragraph with correct subject-verb agreement, capitalization, and punctuation. To be honest, I have very few students who can do this. So above grade level. To be proficient, a student must be able to write a sentence with correct subject-verb agreement, capitalization, and punctuation. And then some students struggle with the subject-verb agreement, but they can write a sentence with correct capitalization and punctuation. So that would be like the need assistance, which is the scoring of the two. So maybe they just write, I like to jump, or I like to play outside. They don't actually talk about, recognize the subject-verb agreement. And then the really below is that it's based off of the whole year, but maybe the one is they can write a sentence with capitalization. They can at least capitalize the first letter, but they can't really focus on spacing or subject of agreement or punctuation. And this is something that we're working on throughout the year. And, we also tie it into, I also do like a beginning, middle, end as well for this writing whenever, for my above kids who can really do it and write a paragraph, we talk about that, having how it needs to flow properly. The next one is a supporting standard 1.2b. This is for math. Use concrete and pictorial models to compose and decompose numbers up to 120 in more than one way, as in many hundreds, tens, and ones, and so on. So Place value is extremely important for students, and it's going to follow them all the way up. So place value being able to represent the number with the base 10 blocks in more than one way is a very important skill, so they can understand like the grouping and the regrouping. Will help them with adding and subtracting, comparing numbers, ordering numbers. A student who is above grade level can build a 4-digit number, because in second grade they go up to 1200. So they can actually build a 4-digit number up to 1200 using base 10 blocks in more than one way, which means they can show you the base 10 blocks, which would include the thousands, and then decompose one of them or show it a different way. To be proficient, students will be able to build a 3-digit number, because we go up to 120 in first grade using the base 10 blocks and then showing it another way. Some students struggle with building the 3-digit number. So the ones who will need assistance for that would probably receive an N, which is a 2, is they can, I have it on here. What I did was, they can do a 2-digit number based with 10 blocks. I'm sorry, with base 10 blocks in more than one way, but I did it in a range between 50 and 99, because it's like some kids can do it, but you get higher and it's like right when you get like past 20 or past certain numbers, it confuses them for some reason. So, and then the 1 would be they can represent a 2-digit number with base 10 blocks in more than one way between numbers 0 and 49. But so they can still do it with 2-digit, but they just can't get past 49. Like they get stuck for some reason. And then the other TEK, and I believe this is the last one, is Readiness Standard 1.3b. Use objects and pictorial models to solve word problems involving joining, separating, and comparing sets within 20 and unknowns as any one of the terms in the problem, such as 2 plus 4 blank equals blank, 3 plus blank equals 7, and so on. Being able to solve addition and subtraction word problems within 20 is a critical skill for students to grasp. It's hard for them to understand sometimes. Like we started out doing within 10, we started baby steps this year, and just to get them going on that. And it's like, so I do feel before, like a lot of my students just struggled with even basic addition and subtraction, understanding what it was asking them to do. So a student who is above grade level will be able to solve all of them. So they can do addition, subtraction, missing term, and comparing word problems within 20. And the comparing word problem really gets a lot of students, because it's like they hear how many more than, so they think, or they hear the word more, so they think, oh, I'm going to add them all together. So they have to really understand what you're doing with the two numbers in the word problem, and grasp that concept. And then some of them also struggle with the missing term. So a student who is above will be able to do all 4. A student who is on grade level must be able to at least do basic addition and subtraction and missing term within 20. And then the students who need additional help, like some support, they can at least solve addition and subtraction word problems like basic. And then a student who gets a 1, they can at least do addition. Because I do notice that the subtraction sometimes can really, it can be difficult for them in the beginning. So that is what I did for my proficiency skills on the essential standards. And I hope that I did this correctly. Thank you.